Okay, this video I'm going to be going over negative exponents. Okay, all right, so let's say you have a negative exponent. So here's your base and here's your negative exponent. Now what you're going to do is you're going to keep that base and you're going to keep the exponent but without the negative. Okay, so like I said, you're going to keep keep the base and you're going to keep that exponent but without the negative sign. So this just becomes positive n. But that's going to be all under 1. Okay, so for instance, like if you have 2 to the negative third power, okay? So what you're going to do, it's going to be 1 over, keep the base, so it's 2, and then keep the exponent without the negative. So 2 to the third, okay? And we can actually simplify that, okay? So keep the 1, and then what is 2 to the third power? 2 times 2, 4 times 2 equals 8. So 2 to the negative third power equals 1/8. Simple as that. Okay. Now let's also go over one thing. Whenever you have any number to the 0 power, it will always equal 1. So if you have like 100 to the 0 power, equals 1. Okay. If you have 9 to the 0 power, that equals 1. If you have who knows, x to the 0 power, okay, that will also equal 1. Okay. Okay. Now moving on. Okay. Let's say we've got a base, okay, to a certain power. We also want to multiply it by the same base, but to a different power. Okay, so we're multiplying it. You're going to keep that base, okay, but with the exponents, you're going to add them. So it's like m plus n. So for instance, if I have like 2 to the second power times 4 to the negative fourth power, okay? Remember, you keep the base, so we're going to keep the 2, but now it's 2 plus negative 4. Okay, 2 plus negative 4. So 2 plus negative 4, that equals 2 to this to the negative second power. Okay, but remember, we don't want our exponent to be a negative. So remember what happens here is it's 1 over, keep the base, the 2, but then you keep the base without the negative. So that becomes 2 to the second. So 1 over 2 to the second power. And we can simplify that because 2 to the second power is 4. So our answer in this case is 1/4. Okay? Okay, let's move on. Okay, now, you know, that example we were multiplying, but what about in this case? What if we want to divide? So what if we have like b to a certain power, to the m power, divided by b to the n power? Okay, so when we multiplied, we added the exponents, but now we're dividing. What do you think we do? Well, that's right, we subtract. Okay, so for instance, if I have 3 to the second power divided by 3 to the fifth power, okay, what will that equal? Well, we keep the base, so that's 3, and then 2 minus 5, okay, 2 minus 5 is negative 3, okay, but remember, we don't want a negative exponent, so that equals, like you've learned, 1 over 3 to the third power, which can still be simplified. So 1 over 27. So 1/27. Okay, now what if you have a power of a power? So like if you have a power, here's a power to a power. So power of a power. Okay, so in this case, we don't add, we don't subtract. What else is left? Well, we've got, you know, we can multiply. Okay, so it's like b to the m times n. Okay, so for instance, if we have like 2 to the second power to the third power, let's make that a negative, to the negative third power, okay, equals, now 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. Okay, but remember we don't want a negative exponent. So 1 over 2 to the 6th power. Okay, that can be simplified to 1 over 64, 1/64. Okay. All right, let's move on. Okay, so power of a product. Okay, so we're going to take a product, that means multiply, so maybe we have A times B. Okay, so power of a product, okay, to the M power. And, okay, so in this case, what we're going to do is, it's almost like we're distributing the M to each variable, or to each guy in this parentheses. Okay, so this becomes, it's also equal to A to the M times B to the M. Okay, so for instance, if I have a problem like this, 2 times x to the negative 3rd power. Okay, so we're going to almost like distribute this negative 3. So this becomes 2 to the negative 3rd power times x to the negative 3rd. Okay, but this can be simplified. Okay, so this 2 to the negative 3rd power, remember we don't want a negative, so it's like 1 over 2 to the 3rd, okay, times 1, so remember we don't want that negative, 1 over x to the 3rd power, okay, and we can keep going, we can multiply here. This is multiplying fraction, so 1 times 1 is 1, okay, and then 2 to the 3rd is equal to 8, okay, so 8 times x to the 3rd, so 1 over 8 times x to the 3rd. Go. Okay. All right, let's do one last one. Power of a quotient. So here is a quotient, so division. Okay, power of a quotient. Okay, so just like in our last problem, it's almost like we're going to distribute this m. So this becomes a to the m over b to the m. Okay, so let's say we have a problem like this. Let's say we've got a fraction, so like 2/3 to the negative 2nd power. That becomes 2 to the negative 2nd to the negative 2nd over 3 to the negative 2nd. 3 to the negative 2nd. Okay, and now, remember we don't want negatives, so this really is like 1 over 2 to the 2nd over 1 over 3 to the 2nd, which is equal to 1 over 4 divided by 1 over, and then 3 to the 2nd is 9th, over 1 to the 9th. Okay. And now we can keep going because it's like 1/4 divided by 1/9, and this just becomes a multiplication. Remember this 1/9, we need to find the reciprocal, which is 9 over 1. Okay, so if we multiply, that just becomes 9/4.